And on the nude nut end of the desk, Ryan Fitzgerald and Kerry O'Keeffe. Lovely to have the two of you with us.
I'm here with Dad tonight.
I was your granddad.
Yeah. Oh, that is not a good start.
Welcome our new guest.
For the first and last time. Thank you very much.
I know in my era, if at lunch break Ian and Greg Chappell had come to me and said, Skull, we're going to give you the ball after the break and we want you to do something you've never done before. What, spin it? No, but they would never have said that.
If we can, just in terms of the India experience, you have toured there. We saw Matt Renshaw have a few problems. What's your experience?
I toured India in 1966 with Australian schoolboys. When two batsmen walked out to bat, 5 of us padded up. When the wicket fell, whoever wasn't on the toilet walked out. A very flexible batting lineup.
Completely, but you, of course, did have a slightly unusual bowling action yourself. I remember copping it as a kid when I was growing up. Have a looky. Not quite so huge, but
No.
a stray left arm there. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, a lot of frenetic build-up that produced mediocre filth.
I can't get past the hair, though. Don't worry about the bowling.
yeah.
What about the hair on the man?
And I was in a dressing room fight. All the buttons were ripped off the shirt. That's what I tell my sons.
Bloody shirt, I love it.
And it's not the greatest comeback in Australian sport. I mean, when David Boone drank those beer cans on the way from Sydney to London, everybody thought he was gone at Bahrain. But he came back. Handshakes are everything. I mean, I played the West Indies in the late 70s, and I used to shake their hands and say, too good, before the game. I thought I'd get it back.
Certainly. That, though, if Greg Norman goes to the trouble of posting a video of himself all ripped and topless, the least we can do is give it some airtime. Look at this 62-year-old go.
God. Oh, there's no washing machine at the Normans. Everything's done on his belly.
You've got to focus on his age, 62 years of age.
Yes,
I haven't seen a bloke that fit at that age since this bloke put this photo up.
All right, OK, we've got another person who's done exactly the same. Oh, dear. Wow. You look surprised to be in a gym.
We'll have a look again.
I was just walking past.
Somebody threw some weights in here.
You've got 2 different weights there, Skull. You haven't even got the right weights.
It was a South Sydney Rabbitoh promotion. So they got me red and green. I've never seen people dive. Apparently one person dived on a cricket field. It was a womanising Sheffield Shield player in the 60s who told his teammates that an angry husband was going to shoot him at some stage on the field. And it was a Sheffield Shield match at the MCG. A 21-gun salute started and he hit the deck. True story. It's him. That's Armistice Day, you idiot.
He's going to get caught.
Yeah,
so
that's
takes
right.
the lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Millions and millions of people across the states watch that. I'm not sure it isn't a setup.
I was thinking the same thing, Tony.
I think there's some bad acting going on.
Yeah.
People pinch cones, but normally at drug dens.
Wow. From our hipster on the I'm told.
Our hipster grandfather, mind you. I love it.
Kerry has all the drug jokes that goes home to hot milk and arrowroot biscuit.
I'm half an hour past my bedtime already, but I'm prepared to stay for the good of the show.
You're going to be very
The New South Wales halfback quit a job to play for New South Wales. I mean, I quit my job in 1971 to play for New South Wales, but that was because I was bone lazy.
Respect that.
And I played in the 70s, you know, Australian cricket, and there was no performance-enhancing drugs. But I did notice that every night Doug Walters and Rod Marsh drank this brown liquid with a white froth for 8 hours and performed the next day. I tried it, tested positive for hangover. Every time I heard Shane Van Gisbergen's nickname SVG, I felt like ringing my GP and asking for antibiotics. There are connotations.
But you're a commentator. You've ever seen or heard or done that kind of stuff?
Look, I've got a lot wrong over the years. The best spin bowler I've ever seen is Shane Warne. He debuted 1 for 153. I was asked, what did you think of Shane's debut, Kerry? I said, he rolls out modest leg breaks, has an easy-to-pick wrong end, his flipper lands 1 in 4, his 4 hamburgers over par. The selectors have got this wrong. Just a little wrong. 708 test wickets later, he hung them up. But, I mean, a lot of banter goes before the Ashes about what we're going to do with our fast bowlers. I remember 74-75, Lillian Thompson against the Poms, and everybody said, oh, will there be a gentleman's agreement, no bumpers to the tail enders? And in the first test, I was 12th man at the Gabba, Derek Underwood hit Dennis Lilly with an arm ball just above the pad, and he came up and said, they started it. And then it was body line for 5 tests.
One of the legends of cricket commentary, Henry Blofeld, has pulled the pin after 45 years providing amazing test match colour. Kerry, did you have much to do with him? You sat next to him?
I work with blowers. 45 years of focusing on the irrelevant. I like that. Look, fantastic career, polarised. I worked with him once and there was a fellow in a Canberra Raiders jersey. And he kept saying, Kerry, this fellow keeps bobbing up in this green jumper. And, you know, I said, yeah. And he said, it's got Woodgers written on it, who were their sponsor. And what is a Woodgers? I said, it's the start of a question, Henry. It's asked around Australia. Would you like another beer? And he said, my dear old thing. Sydney in December is slow and low. You know, Joe Root is the key for England. On a bouncy pitch, he has wrists limper than a French handshake. And when he plays that silly dab down to third man in England on slow pitches that he gets 4-4, he edges. If he plays with that shot on bouncy Australian pitches, there will be more nicks than an Athens buck night.
Have you just been sitting at home doing this stuff to yourself?
I've had a long time in lockdown.
What have you been up to in lockdown, Kev?
Yeah, careful if I play my hand a little too strong.
Kerry O'Keeffe, look, while we're celebrating glory, I was just, for some bizarre reason, I was going through your test stats this morning, as I like to do.
Oh, of course.
And I saw 25 tests, but 1-6 you hit in your career. Do you remember that fondly?
I do. You've got to take on the bigger grounds if you know, and I took on Eden Park, Auckland. I top-edged a bouncer off Richard Collins in a test match against New Zealand and fine leg tipped it over the bar. They measured it at 39.3 metres. Wow. But the umpire went... I mean, I'm old-school dinosaur technician. He bats behind his front shoulder, his front hip and his front elbow with an open face. That, to me, screams porn. I just love watching Bubba Azam bat. I don't care if it's after midnight. I've got Bubba on split screen. I can watch him get a 20-ball duck. I once played with a leg spinner so loopy, so much time in the air, that he could bowl it and then set his field. I played under 3 Australian Test cricket captains in 24 tests, Bill Laurie and the Chappell brothers. None of them raised their voice at any time. 0-0, third test, West Indies 1973. They were going to win at lunch, the West Indies. They needed 90 with 7 wickets in hand. Ian Chappell sat for 39 minutes just staring at the ground and got up, got his baggy green and said, I haven't come 20,000 expletive miles to lose to these expletives. That was all he said. We got up, we took 7 for 20, I took 4 of them. 1-0 Australia. That's all it took. And his caddy doesn't help him, it's his best mate. And when they get their heads together over a putt, neither could read an audio book.
the best ever. In fact, I'm writing that down and I'm going to use it.
And the ball just keeps slipping by the hole. Turn the volume up. I want to read. They've come up to me. I play cricket too, Scarlett. I said, what do you do? He said, I bowl left arm orthos and bat middle order. I said, mate, the scorer's under more pressure than you. Nathan Lyons says, g'day, brother. I said, you're not my brother, you're a distant cousin.
Really don't.
I mean, in February of World Series cricket, 78, I altered the condition of the ball at Currumbin. They were going to charge me. I was bowling to Clive Lloyd. And he kept hitting me into the lake. After the third ball was changed, job done.
You're not the only
options
one.
were
Yeah, but which is more spectacular?
Or tap it back.
Which do you want, a tap through the goal or a bloke thinking,
Or
how in
concede a
God...
goal. I mean, he's basically going to concede a goal if he flicks it back into play.
Crash.
Hello.
Yeah, go, see ya.
Over there. Sorry. That's the spine of the team. Squires, Underwood, Craddock. We're just outside back.
Yeah, well,
They throw us a scrap every 10 minutes.
I can see that. It's a
We're
bit
still here waiting for the ball.
It's a bit like, you know when Kalen Ponga got out of...
And concedes a goal.
Yeah. Anything, Kerry? Good?
I got nothing.
Okay.
We've pulled hamstrings. It got so cold on the wing.
I just saw Kerry on the phone to his wife.
More confusion.
I'm doing a Sudoku. Give me more time. Go to spine.
More confusion from Melbourne players who ended up tackling each other. Not sure exactly how this happened, Kerry.
Am I in the spine?
Go, Kerry. What do you think?
I got nothing.
This is a couple of Essendon players, Myers and the Irishman, McKenna.
Is that at the MCG? Yeah, I played there a few times. That's all I got. Hey, Del, Tony's wearing a tie. We've only seen his back for
Thank you, Tony, for bringing us in there.
Would you like one of us to come and sit down there?
Oh, that's good.
You can be a self-starter if you like, Kerry.
Yeah, there's a touch judge next to me. He's got more ins than me.
We'll put your flag up and I'll ask you to talk.
Loving the show. Part of the audience. I'm lost without cricket.
Search. We also stumbled on some footage of Kerry meeting the Queen during the centenary test.
Yes.
Look at this. Now, this Dennis Lilly either asking for an autograph or the Queen's number, not sure. And there's Rick McCosker.
I didn't see any X-rays, but he pulled it off.
And there he is. Look, there's Kerry.
There I am. Look, notice I gave her the wet fish because I had trouble with my spinning fingers and they were all calcified and I could hardly grip the ball. And I thought I'll give her a wet fish because she's shaken a million hands. And she gave me the Malachi Crunch. And it took all the crap out of the joints. And I went out and won the test. They foiled a royal plot to take me out.
And opened the batting in the second innings.
Because Rick came with... We didn't see him for 2 days. He came with all the bandages and said, "You're too good." Where are the X-rays?
Meg landing a card-carrying superstar, Kerry O'Keeffe. She's so stylish, great to watch.
She's the Ricky Ponting of the women's game. She's modelled herself on Ponting. She has the mantra of Ricky Ponting. She says to the bowler, "I'm giving you 25 centimetres by 25 centimetres shoebox on a good length, on off stump. If you miss that shoebox, I'm going to belt the bejesus out of you." And that's what she does.
Yeah.
I mean, my shoebox was wider than that. Think of Melbourne Marcos walking road. We have. Look, I played 24 tests. I bowled thousands of ball in test cricket. And the only word I used, and I used it very infrequently when I bowled, was "how's that?" And the number 6 has got to be the power hitter. You look at Andrew Simons, David Hawkes, Doug Walters. You don't want a blocker at 6, unless you're 4 for 20. But if you're 4 for 250 enter Mitchell Marsh.
And Mitchell Starc was absolutely brilliant, man of the match. Look at him go.
Mate, he docks more tails than Dr. Chris Brown.
But what about you? Can you believe I think it's 40 years since World Series cricket? 40 years since this fabulous photograph. I don't know if this reminds you of anything.
What a great picture. Everybody who was born in the 60s or the 70s, there I am.
There you are.
You look a bit angry there, Skull. You probably should have grabbed a Happy Meal off Ronald.
I'm next to Mike Proctor and Clive Lloyd. Who's the odd man now?
Only one bloke who hasn't.
The left-hander. But that pic is Ronald McDonald's in the middle, and we were saying during the shooting of it, get a real job, you loser. And what a nerd. And then we all went to change back into our civvies, and he took off the Ronald McDonald costume, and he was built like Hulk Hogan. Nobody said a word afterwards.
Look, when you board the plane to go to England for Ashes, your only goal is to retain or regain. I only did one Ashes tour in 1977, and a mascot, we decided we were retaining or regaining. That was our goal. But when we got off at Heathrow, Rod Marsh had drunk 45 cans, and Doug Wallace had drunk 42, and the rest of us were completely munted. And we'd forgotten our goal. And we lost 3-0.
Oh, dear.
A snake on the field. Oh, they gather around the snake to try to get rid of it.
I was a leg spinner without a viper. I'd have picked it up and bowled it.
I love it.
He's a character, isn't he?
He's a character.
So is the owner of Tottenham Hotspurs, Lord Sugar. I follow him on Twitter. A British billionaire. He was asked how he made his money, and he said, well, I started as a young bloke buying car aerials for £1 and selling them for £1.20. Then I bought more aerials, sold them, bought more, sold them. And then my uncle died and left me £500 million.
Kerry, in all your years of commentary, have you ever said something similar to that and thought, oh, why did I say that?
There was a moment. There was many, but I was on with Harsha Bogle, Sydney Cricket Ground Test, and Jason Gillespie had bowled 15 overs the day before, and he bowled the first over that morning. And Harsha Bogle, fantastic Indian commentator, said to me, Kerry, what do you think of Gillespie? I said, he's stiffer than a triple scotch. And Harsha said to me, stiffer than a triple scotch. How many stiff ones do you have a night? And 5 minutes later, the producer said he couldn't cut to an ad break. And nobody could control himself.
Oh, dear.
It was what wasn't said.
But the thing is, the West Indies won the World Cup T20 in 2016 by basically saying we're not taking singles, we're just hitting 4s and 6s. Their mantra throughout the tournament was, Tinder is for singles. But he's the best, isn't he, Max Verstappen? I love that Dutch-Belgian breed. You know, he has 2 mantras in life. The only place that matters is first, and my career comes before girls. When did you drop those 2 mantras? 13?
You're a Max man.
I love Max.
Oh, he's too confident.
No.
Yeah, but you know what?
Name a number 1 in the world that isn't.
Well, he's... you know what, Tony? He's a Novak Djokovic fan as well, Kerry O'Keeffe.
And I love his dad, Jos Verstappen. I mean, there are fathers from hell that don't work out, but Richard Williams, Venus and Serena's dad, and Jos Verstappen are 2 of the best. They mentored their children, they respect them, they got them to number 1 in the world. They're the 2 best dads that I've ever experienced. Not that I experienced them, but... But I like them. what I really, when you look at his career, people say he underperformed, but if you look at his numbers in all forms, and at 39 to be still doing it in the IPL, I mean, he didn't understand the LBW rule. No. And you know, if you get hit on the ankle in front of middle stump, 2 centimetres, go upstairs. He went upstairs more than a Downton Abbey maid.
And he's a broken man. He can't possibly play at Lord's, and he's been broken by little Nathan Lyon from young New South Wales, who could get him out with a dry tomato or a cherry. You know, if Moeen Ali's trimming that beard and he gets a nick, Nathan Lyon pops out of the medicine cabinet and says, "Catch it!"
I do know.
And this year in Adelaide, we did the Adelaide test, and it was COVID. To enter Adelaide, you had to have a COVID test on arrival. The queues were 4 hours long at the airport, so I went straight to the hotel and said, "I'll go out at midnight and get mine done and wait for 2 hours." At 9 o'clock, the phone rang. It was Warnie. He said, "Skull, I'm not queuing, and you aren't either. Be in my room in an hour at 10 o'clock. I've got a nurse coming in."
But what about the COVID?
I said, "I'm up for a nurse." So anyway, she's going to test us. I said, "Yeah, well," anyway, 10 o'clock, not going to come in, Skull. 10:15, there's a knock at the door. And I expected Nurse Lolita with a miniskirt and fishnet. And I got a traditional nurse. She said, she's going to do you first, Skull. And she tested me and said, and I lingered for a while and said, "That'll do, Skull." "Thanks, Warnie." And I left. And the next morning I thought, there's no way known I get anything official from South Australian Health. And there it was. It popped up on my phone. "You have tested negative for COVID-19. But he was never going to do 4 hours in a queue.
Go ahead.
It was a folklore story in Adelaide Oval. I think, I don't know whether it's true, I played in the game, but Greg Chappell won the toss against New Zealand. It was 40 degrees, an absolute belter. And he said to the New Zealand coach, "You can bat." And the guy went, "What?" He started to do handstands. And 20 yards on, I said, "After we've batted." I don't know how true it is.
What about with Chris Gale and limping along, is he? He's funny to watch now because he's like an 80-year-old man, isn't he?
Chris doesn't do 1s, 2s or 3s. He goes 4s or 6s. Somebody called him for a single. He said, "Hey, man, I'm the universe boss." I don't do 1s. But let's not lampoon him for celebrating. I mean, we've all celebrated. We're all former athletes.
It's great.
You know, I remember 1974, a test match at the SCG against New Zealand. I got caught up with Doug Walters at the Bridge Hotel at Rozelle. And I left around midnight, and he drank through till sunrise. And then he caught a cab to the ground for the start of day 2.
How did he go that day, Kerry? Did he do all right?
Well, the NCHL made him bowl the first over because he said, "Are you right to play at 11 o'clock?" And, and he bowled a full toss to Glenn Turner and he hit it straight back at him. He caught it. Somehow, I think he left the field for the next 4 hours.
What are you wearing, by the way? There's something smelling coming from it. It's beautiful.
I'm wearing Creed.
Creed.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very,
because Katha is our on-ground interviewer. She interviewed David Warner a season or so ago. She said, "What are you wearing?" And he said, "I'm wearing Creed."
Hang on, you missed an important part of the story. He asked me first what I was wearing.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And
but then we did get to
you said,
Creed.
"What cologne are you wearing?" He said, "Creed." And ever since that day, my wife gets me Creed for my birthday and Christmas. It's about $450 for an ounce.
Yeah. This is aftershave, right?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the hippie thing
It's
again?
a bowling... Yeah. But I put it... Every time I see Kath, I wear a litre of it. And she's never said, "What are you wearing?"
I can smell it. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's one of those subtle ones. It's one of those ones where you spray it and then you walk into it. It's classy.
How much per spray?
The testing bottle is $30 a spray. That's the tester.
Did you try the tester before
Of
buying?
course I did. But on your recommendation, when Warner told you I'm wearing Creed, I've worn Creed ever since.
And I've never said anything.
And you've never said anything. I walked around the ground with her one day at the Gabba, and the crowd reaction was outstanding. And I had to tell her at the end, I thought you looked good.
Hey, Skull, I think you smell good tonight.
There he is. Old Phantom of the Opera. Now in the running for the world's ugliest nose contest.
Even Lewis Hamilton would slow down at that chicane.
The Zurich Classic, did you catch it?
I caught a lot of this, lots of alligator sightings. Because the course is built on a swamp in New Orleans. And sadly, Cameron Smith and his caddy celebrated by jumping into the water hazard at the 18. The caddy's funeral is tomorrow. It's not the first time, you know, people have left sporting tours or competition. In 1977 Ashes Tour in England, I had the game off and management gave me 4 days in Spain. And I went there with Michael Hill and Steve Bernard, New South Wales teammates. And there was lots of pluses. I mean, I became bilingual. I know that 3 beers in Spanish is tres cerveza. And when I came back, it didn't impact on my form for the rest of that Ashes tour. I averaged 101 in the series. With the ball.
A little bit, Kerry. What I want to know in that situation, Kerry, if the sun is in your eyes, you've got to cop it in the face, don't you? For your team, you can't turn your back.
You can't blame it on the sunshine, you can't blame it on the moonlight. You've got to blame it on the boogie.
Love it. All right, while I've got you, if you had a rig like Greg Norman's, would you get your kit off? I don't know if you've seen these photographs. This is for Golf Digest, I think it is.
But when I saw that, I said, what a perfect seafood buffet. Shark, 2 calamari and a king prawn.
Geez, he's let himself go.
Oh, has he? Coming out of the rough, I bet there's no rough at all there with Greg.
Kerry, what would it take?
Has he got enough club? I think so.
A flop wedge, you reckon? What would you have to be offered to take your gear off? In all honesty.
$10 million and a general anaesthetic.
For those who are looking.
John, isn't it like SVG and Verstappen? The moment the rain comes, the best drivers win.
Yep.
And they're just knobs in the wet. They're mudders.
Yep.
Their fathers were mudders.
Their mothers were mothers.
Their mudders were mudders.
Could be a long night. Could be a long... But do you relate to Mitchell Stark's feeling at all?
Oh, I do. I mean, a first-class 100 for a bowler is our nirvana. If it's our perfect place of happiness. Yeah. And he was denied by a declaration. Yeah. I was denied by a number 11 batsman. I was 99 not out for Australia against Auckland, 1974 at the Eden Park. I pushed the ball through the covers for 2. I only wanted 1. And in the history of world cricket, the non-striker, when I said yes, he said, wait. A yes would have set me free. He was run out by 15 yards. And I am with Mitch Stark. That was 46 years ago. That was the last conversation I had with that fella. It was one word. Wait.
Did you throw the bat
I'm
as
over
well?
it. Thanks for bringing it up.
I'm over it.
We've all played sport and we've all handled our legacy. How you handle your exit is your legacy. I mean, Tony handled his at 9.
7 was much
When
worse.
you got dropped from the under 10, you spat the dummy. They called you Cristiano.
And I tell you, I'm going kick and screaming next time.
I mean,
Great story.
I've shown that emotion, you know, when I was dropped.
something was coming.
You did.
7 times.
I knew something was coming.
And only recall 6.
Did you ever cry in your professional career?
A lot.
Really?
When he got dropped.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I missed out on a tour of the Australian tour of England in 1972, and I bawled my eyes out. You know, and they picked the team on form, but you know that's not the point.
I'm trying to get him serious. I nearly had you. I nearly had him.
When you were
It
picked
wouldn't have
for
been a shock then.
I was the only guy shocked.
when you were picked for...
Lots of trainers got frustrated with my era because I remember once New South Wales we did a pre-season training regime, and at Centennial Park one Sunday morning, George Daldry, the noted fitness conditioner, turned up and said, "Righto, boys, there was 20 of us. I want you to warm up before the 10K run," and Doug Waters lit a cigarette. And George said, "I said warm up." I said, "I am." He's one of the finest swing bowlers. And if I could talk biomechanically about Trent Boult, he could move constipation.
Is that really biomechanical?
In a rough sort of way, in a Bathurst way. Trying something different. In 1974, I got dropped from the Australian Test team. In 1975, I changed my bowling action. In 1976, I got back into the Australian Test team. I was still bowling the same filth. But they fell for it.
Did you get any offers, Kerry, for that sort of stuff?
Naked with a golf club in my hand. Concern about my short game.
Move on.
Swipe left, swipe left. Naturally.
And the thing is, you know you've made it in life and sport, Candice, if people just refer to you by your one name. Back to you, Tony Squires. Nation, not just the crowd. People watching on television. I'm captured at 3 a.m. I'm still watching because something is going to happen.
Got a blanket over your knees.
Yeah, me and the dog. And if Joe Root's batting, I mean, it's just, it's cricket's Viagra. I mean,
Well, now we're up and about.
when Travis Head plays a cover drive, I feel dirty because his bottom hand takes over. When Joe Root cover drives, I talk dirty.
Performance.
I remember when Rick McCosker broke his jaw in that centenary test and I opened for him, and he came up to me afterwards and said,
Sorry, I gave it away.
"Oh, I know what you meant."
I think the Dalai Lama experiment is now officially over. The goodwill lasted about an hour. But, Steve Smith met him. They rubbed noses. He's not the first Australian cricket captain to meet the Dalai Lama. In 1969, the Australian tourists met him. Bill Lawry met him. They rubbed noses. And the Dalai Lama had a fractured cheekbone.
Brilliant performance, as it was from all on board this evening.
I asked the producer how the show went. He said Dick Fosbury. What? Flop.
See you next week. Bye for now.